Alright, Usher, Justin Bieber, Diddy. This is how they all connect. When Usher was super young, he got signed to a guy named L.A. Reid, this famous music executive. Usher then loses his voice. L.A. Reid wants to help him, get back on track, so he sends him over to this guy named Puff Daddy.
Hey Cassie, how are you? How do you feel about all the allegations with Diddy going on right now?
This is the first video, the first photo of Diddy's ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura since his arrest for the shocking allegations inside this 14-page indictment.
As you can imagine, Usher had a problem, he just didn't know it yet. See, Puff Daddy was this up-and-coming music executive who could really turn someone into a star. He put them through this thing called Flavor Camp, and during Usher's term in this Flavor Camp, he lived with Puff.
She wasn't answering questions in New York City last night after Sean Combs was denied bond for a second day in a row. Photographers did catch her with a smile on her face and a cap covering her eyes, out with a friend.
Have a good night.
They were just 6 miles from where Diddy was locked up after the judge slammed him, saying the defendant is a danger.
And in Usher's words, he would see questionable things. He said at any given time, you can open the door and see a bunch of random people playing Netflix. He said he would be up all night partying when all he really wanted to do was go to the studio. And this is when people speculate that Diddy did something to Usher. Now, I need you to listen to me.
And now prosecutors are revealing new and disturbing details.
Give you the evidence as to why people believe this. But until you hear words from Usher, Diddy, Justin Bieber, nobody knows anything. All right, so Diddy and Usher are in an interview with Kevin Hart. Diddy said, "Hey, yo, pause. When Usher used to live with me, we used to wrestle for frosted."
Yo, it's inexcusable. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now.
Prosecutors claimed in court Diddy texted Cassie in the days after the assault.
What happens is if people go into a trial believing the firepower on the prosecution is so strong, I mean, let's say on a scale of 1 to 100, it's a 95 that it's so strong, but it goes down to an 88.
Bill and Sade, accepting a plea agreement would mean that Sean Combs would have to admit to trafficking and force. And today he made it very clear that was not going to happen. Diddy maintained all along these encounters involved consenting adults and plans to take his chances that a jury agrees.
That helps the defense because everybody goes in thinking, wow, they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and they're going to prove this, and all of a sudden, none of it's there. I think that actually helps the defense.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs back behind bars, a magistrate judge denying him bail, saying that there were no conditions that she could conceive of that would make her confident that he would appear again for other court appearances. The judge saying, "My concern is this is a crime that happens behind closed doors."
What if I told you that one of the biggest names in music might not just be fighting for his freedom, but about to take half of Hollywood down with him? Once a red carpet regular and Grammy darling, Sean Diddy Combs is now locked up in a Brooklyn detention center, his empire cracking under the weight of sex trafficking charges, FBI raids, and a viral hotel surveillance tape that's already rewriting music industry history. But here's the real bombshell. Insiders say Diddy won't go down alone, because as this federal case heats up, a growing list of celebrities, from Usher to Justin Bieber to Jay-Z, could be dragged into the fire. This isn't just another scandal, it's a ticking time bomb wrapped in NDAs, sealed court files, and encrypted freak-off tapes the feds are now using as evidence. It started with Cassie, Diddy's longtime partner, who broke her silence and flipped the entire narrative. And once CNN aired that hotel video of her being assaulted, there was no going back. The public woke up, prosecutors pounced, and Hollywood started sweating. Now, the feds are handing out subpoenas like confetti. Sources claim Usher's already been tapped to testify. Jay-Z's staying unusually quiet, and whispers about Justin Bieber's early ties to Diddy via a strange guardianship transfer are resurfacing like ghosts.
Now to Sean Diddy Combs, looking to suppress evidence in his federal trial. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky is back with the story.
But why now? Why are so many A-listers being pulled into this case? What's really on those seized tapes? And what happens if the person testifying next isn't a victim, but a household name? Because this isn't just about Diddy anymore. It's about a broken system that protected him. And if the rumors are true, the people who once stood beside him might soon have to take the stand against him. So, buckle up. Because what's coming isn't just courtroom drama. It's a reckoning. The moment the hotel hallway video dropped, everything changed. It was 2016 when the footage was captured. Grainy, silent, and reportedly buried for years. But in 2024, CNN aired it like a bombshell in prime time. And there it was, Diddy violently assaulting Cassie Ventura outside a hotel room. No music, no entourage, just a man caught in the act. And a woman everyone once thought was just his arm candy, now revealed to be the heart of a federal investigation. The video didn't just confirm suspicions, it detonated them. For years, whispers followed Diddy. Freak-off parties, power trips, violence behind closed doors. But whispers can be denied. Footage? That's something else entirely. Suddenly, everyone had to pick a side. Fans, celebrities, even prosecutors. Diddy's legal team scrambled into damage control. His attorney, Mark Nifalo, claimed the footage was doctored.
Good morning again, Aaron.
And to you, Michael. You'll remember federal agents from Homeland Security investigations were hardly shy when they raided Sean Combs' opulent homes in Los Angeles and Miami, guns drawn. The jailed music mogul now argues those searches and other searches of his iCloud accounts, electronic devices, and New York City hotel room
Said it was sped up, cut weird, and lacked context. But CNN didn't flinch. They stood by the video, said they had the original unedited version, and had already turned it over to federal investigators. And just like that, Diddy's defense cracked. What was once a case of he said, she said, turned into a visual confirmation of abuse. It was no longer about hearsay. It was about evidence. Cold, undeniable, and broadcast to millions. Public opinion flipped overnight. Celebs who once praised Diddy for his business genius ghosted him. Sponsors pulled out, fellow artists scrubbed collabs from social media, and prosecutors, sensing momentum, filed new motions to ensure the video would be used in court as part of a larger sex trafficking and racketeering case. But here's where it gets deeper. The video wasn't just a glimpse into one night, it was the thread that unraveled a whole tapestry of darkness. Because if this was caught on tape, what else was? What had been hidden in plain sight? Who knew? And who helped cover it up? Cassie's bravery didn't just reopen a case. It cracked open a culture of silence that had protected Diddy for decades.
His lawyers argue evidence obtained through those searches must be suppressed. Diddy's lawyers say the government presented a grossly distorted picture of reality when applying for the search warrants.
And the moment she stepped forward publicly, not as a Jane Doe, but with her name, her face, her story, the entire music industry had to look in the mirror. And that mirror, it's about to show a lot more than one man's reflection, because what came next wasn't just shocking, it was horrifying. What started as a single assault video quickly spiraled into something far more sinister. Federal prosecutors weren't just looking at one incident anymore, they were pulling the thread on a 2-decade pattern of power, abuse, and control. The official charges? They read like a true crime script. Sex trafficking, racketeering, coercion, bribery, kidnapping, witness intimidation. And that's just the surface. According to the SDNY indictment, Diddy didn't operate like a reckless celebrity gone wild. He allegedly ran a full-blown criminal enterprise. Think less bad boy records and more RICO-level syndicate. The same law used to bring down mob bosses is now being used to dismantle a music mogul's empire. But what really tipped the scales? The raids. In March 2024, Homeland Security stormed Diddy's mansions in Los Angeles and Miami. What they found wasn't just damning, it was disturbing. Reports say agents uncovered encrypted laptops, NDA folders, and hundreds of high-definition tapes, all neatly organized and labeled.
Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. The defense is also arguing here his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, was a willing participant in drug-fueled sex performances called freak-offs.
One room was reportedly built as a surveillance command center, complete with hidden cameras, panic locks, and wall-to-wall baby oil bottles. Yes, over 1,000 bottles. No, that's not a typo. Then came the freak-off files. According to court documents, the tapes featured drug-fueled sex parties, many involving allegedly coerced participants, including Cassie. Some victims appeared dazed, restrained, or visibly impaired. Prosecutors claim these weren't private indulgences. They were leverage used to control, manipulate, or blackmail others in the industry. And here's the kicker, several of the tapes reportedly involved other high-profile figures, artists, producers, influencers, and even political insiders. Their names haven't all been released yet, but the implication is clear. This wasn't just Diddy's dark secret. It was a network. His lawyers are now fighting tooth and nail to get all this evidence thrown out, calling the raids unconstitutional and the materials prejudicial. They argue the tapes were obtained without proper cause, but federal agents say the search warrants were airtight and backed by extensive witness testimony, including ex-employees and insiders. This isn't just about punishing one man. It's about exposing a system that rewarded silence, that paid off staff, that made abuse look like lifestyle.
Sean Puffy Combs, I don't sleep to this day. I have a problem sleeping to this day. Like, yo, man, I'm here to work, man. I ain't sang in a week. I mean, I'm 13 years old, and I'm telling him, look, you're gonna put me in the studio, man.
And now that system is bleeding out in public, one headline, one court date, and one subpoena at a time. Because what they found behind Diddy's gates wasn't just scandalous, it was criminal. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because the fallout from Diddy's case isn't just circling him anymore, it's spreading fast. As federal prosecutors dig deeper into the so-called freak-off tapes and hidden surveillance footage, new names keep surfacing, names you wouldn't expect to hear in a court docket. Usher, Justin Bieber, Jay-Z. Let's start with Usher. Insiders claim he's already been subpoenaed. Why? Because he was allegedly present at several of Diddy's infamous house parties. You know the ones: ultra-private, no phones, heavy security, and supposedly a lot more going on behind the scenes than just champagne and beats. Now, prosecutors want to know, what did Usher see? What did he hear? And did he ever feel pressured to stay silent? Then there's Bieber. And this part is dark. According to Jaguar Wright, an industry whistleblower and one of Diddy's most vocal critics, there was a moment early in Bieber's career that raised red flags. She claims that, for a brief window of time, Usher actually signed over temporary guardianship of a 13-year-old Justin to Diddy. Just 48 hours. That's all it took. Wright says that during that time, Bieber was allegedly exposed to parties and environments no kid should have been anywhere near.
You got Biggie Smalls in there, you got Craig Mack in there. I'm not here to party with you. I don't want to go to the clubs. Matter of fact, I'm too young to even be in here. Why you got me in clubs? We would fight, we would tussle.
And remember, Bieber's been eerily silent about his past. He's distanced himself from former mentors, cut ties with Diddy, and had several public meltdowns tied to his mental health. Is it all connected? Maybe. Maybe not. But in this trial, the questions are finally being asked. And then there's Jay-Z, the mogul, the mastermind, the man many once saw as hip-hop's most powerful voice. So far, he said nothing. Not a tweet, not a quote, not even a denial. But silence speaks volumes, especially when Jaguar Wright, again, has openly accused him of protecting Diddy for years. She says they were in too deep together, that they had footage on each other, that this wasn't just friendship, it was mutual blackmail. True or not, Jay-Z's name is coming up more and more. And in a case built on testimonies, surveillance, and loyalty turned betrayal, silence isn't safety anymore, it's suspicion. Because if Diddy goes down, the people who propped him up might not be far behind. And the subpoenas? They're just getting started. If there's one voice that refuses to be silenced, it's Jaguar Wright. Once a rising neo-soul singer with The Roots, now one of the industry's most feared whistleblowers, she's made it her mission to expose the dark underbelly of fame, and in this case, she's got receipts. Jaguar's live streams have become must-watch chaos, not because she's polished, not because she has PR handlers, but because she speaks without filters, without fear, and some say, with disturbing accuracy. She's been shouting about Diddy's alleged freak-off tapes for years.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp!
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's.
And now that the feds have found exactly that, those labeled, time-stamped, encrypted tapes, people are finally listening. But Wright's most chilling claim? She says Diddy didn't just keep the tapes, he sold them. According to her, one particularly twisted video, nicknamed the $500 million freak-off, was auctioned off on encrypted dark web marketplaces just days after the Homeland Security raids. The alleged cast: Justin Bieber, Nicki Minaj, Rihanna, Drake, Chris Brown. Some were rumored to have willingly participated, others, not so much. The footage, if it exists, reportedly shows scenes spanning multiple nights in private residences, all under Diddy's control. Law enforcement hasn't confirmed the sale, but what's undeniable is this. Shortly after the raids, cybersecurity firms monitoring the dark web reported a sudden surge in encrypted high-value file transactions tied to known illicit vendors. Coincidence? Possibly. Terrifying? Absolutely. Jaguar says these tapes weren't just trophies. They were leverage, control, insurance policies, a way to keep the biggest names in music in check. She even claims Diddy was preparing for exile, selling off assets, liquidating real estate, and planning to flee before trial. According to one insider, he doesn't plan to stand trial, he's cashing out. And if that's true, then the people appearing in those tapes, they're not just witnesses, they're evidence, they're pawns, they're targets. Whether Jaguar's claims are 100% true or laced with speculation, one thing's certain, she predicted the tapes, she warned about the network. And now that the world is watching, her warnings sound a lot less like conspiracy and a lot more like someone finally being heard. But her loudest accusation?
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. But hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle,
right?
And I saw it, and it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at.
She says Diddy isn't acting alone, and that's where things get dangerous. The closer this trial gets to the truth, the more people seem to vanish, literally. One of the most unsettling developments in the Diddy case isn't just what's on the tapes, it's who's no longer around to talk about them. According to multiple sources close to the investigation, at least 2 witnesses have mysteriously disappeared in the lead-up to court proceedings. One of them, a woman who was set to testify under a protected alias, found dead from an alleged overdose just days before giving her statement. The timing? Too convenient. The pattern? Too familiar. Federal prosecutors say this isn't just bad luck, it's intimidation, it's manipulation, and it's coming straight from inside Diddy's camp. Since being held at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, Diddy has reportedly made over 200 phone calls a day. Yes, you read that right, 200. Every single day. Who's he calling? Former collaborators, legal intermediaries, alleged victims. Insiders say many of these calls weren't casual check-ins. They were pressure campaigns, telling people to shut up, deny, or flat out disappear. It's the kind of behind-the-scenes scrambling that prosecutors say proves exactly why his bail has been denied twice. And then there's Cassie.
It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
While she hasn't spoken publicly since the federal charges dropped, sources close to her say the pressure has been relentless. Shadowy figures following her, bribes, hacking attempts, threatening legal letters. And despite all of that, she's still planning to take the stand. But others haven't been so brave. Some changed their minds, others fled the country, and a few just vanished into thin air. One source close to the DOJ put it bluntly. This is the chapter when people start dying. Even Kim Porter's name has re-entered the conversation. The mother of Diddy's children, whose 2018 death was officially ruled pneumonia, yet was working on a memoir called Kim's Lost Words before she passed. A memoir that, according to a ghostwriter, alleged physical abuse, blackmail, and a mysterious hospital visit after Diddy allegedly struck her with a chair. The laptop? Gone. Her phone? Disappeared. And shortly before her death, Kim told friends, "If something happens to me, look to Puff." The connections are piling up, and the fear, it's real. Because it's no longer about whether Diddy's guilty, it's about who's still alive to prove it. If you thought this case was just about Diddy, think again. Because the subpoenas, they're flying, and no one in his circle is safe. According to insiders close to the investigation, the federal team isn't just zeroing in on Diddy. They're building out a web, a network. A RICO case that doesn't stop at the man in the middle, but branches out to everyone who enabled, participated, or just looked the other way. Usher, we already know, has reportedly received a subpoena. But he's not alone. Rick Ross, DJ Khaled, Kanye West.
Yeah, man, Faith Evans, Jodeci, Mary J. Blige. They didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time, you know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem. I had like, you know,
what
like a
life.
living. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Even a few A-list actresses and Instagram influencers, names we won't drop just yet, are now rumored to be on the shortlist. And here's the wild part. Prosecutors aren't just calling these people to the stand as observers, they're witnesses. In some cases, potential co-conspirators. Why? Because RICO doesn't play. Under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, the government doesn't need to prove that each individual committed the main crime, they only need to prove they helped facilitate it. That means someone who booked a venue, signed an NDA, arranged a driver, or handed over hush money could find themselves sitting on the wrong side of a courtroom. Even if they weren't physically present, if they helped the machine keep running, they're in. And prosecutors are turning up the pressure. Hard. Their strategy? Flip the witnesses. Offer immunity in exchange for names, timelines, and confirmations. The second one person starts talking, it opens the floodgates. Think dominoes, think chain reaction. Behind the scenes, lawyers are panicking. PR reps are ghosting journalists. And social media managers, scrubbing old photos, untagging party shots, and deleting cryptic tweets from 2011 like their lives depend on it. Because in this case, they might. What was once a glamorous music scene of yachts, champagne, and red carpets is being redefined as a pipeline. A system of manipulation, control, and silence. And the guest list at Diddy's most exclusive parties, it's looking more and more like a potential witness list.
Some documents have leaked about Usher. They were obtained by Radar Online, and apparently back in 2009 or 2010, he had contracted herpes and passed it on to a celebrity stylist having unprotected sex with her. He had to pay $1.1 million to that woman for severe emotional distress.
One prosecutor reportedly said, "We're not just holding one man accountable, we're holding an entire ecosystem accountable. And the subpoenas, they haven't even hit full throttle yet." Section 7. Bad boy or bad system? Music biz complicity. At this point, it's not just about Diddy. It's about the system that built him, protected him, and kept him untouchable for decades. Because let's be real, none of this happened in a vacuum. The NDAs, the payoffs, the loyal assistants and high-powered lawyers who made sure the mess never reached the public, the PR firms that spun abuse into rumors, the bodyguards who turned their backs, the hotel staff who allegedly took hush money to delete footage. All of it adds up. This wasn't just one man misusing his power. It was an industry that made room for it. An entire ecosystem that valued silence over justice. And for years it worked. Victims stayed hidden, allegations got buried, careers were protected. But now, the cracks are wide open. Witnesses are testifying, tapes are leaking, and the question hanging in the air is simple, but devastating. How many people knew and said nothing? Because in the end, it's not just about punishing Diddy. It's about dismantling the structure that let him operate like a king. The court dates are locked, the subpoenas are in motion, and the tapes? They're real. But here's the twist. This trial isn't just about justice, it's about survival. Because once the first A-list name takes the stand, everything changes. The public perception, the industry power dynamics, the stories that have stayed buried for years. Usher, Bieber, Jay-Z, one of them might be first, but they won't be the last. And that's what's making Hollywood sweat. This isn't just another scandal, it's a reckoning. One that has the potential to burn through layers of fame, wealth, and influence. No matter how iconic your discography is, the courtroom doesn't care. Because Cassie already cracked the silence. The tapes broke the illusion. And now, the question isn't whether justice is coming, it's who's going to testify before it arrives. So, keep your eyes on the courthouse steps. That first flash of a famous face walking in, not as a performer, but as a witness. That's when the world will realize this isn't a music trial, it's a moment of truth.